All right, we're live. Finally, man, it has been a minute. We got the week off for New Year's.
Yeah,
Living in Jacksonville, channeled and just took off a week last week, and now we're in 2026. How you doing, Miss Rachel?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm fired up. I'm actually excited. We went away for a few days after Christmas and got back, and I was just like anxious to get going. I don't know why. I was just fired up for a new year, and my gosh, it has been crazy. I mean, it's only the 8th, and I feel like we're flying into spring season already. So I'll tell you what, I'm excited, super
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. It's
Hey, what's up? Thank you for joining us tonight. If y'all are watching, please make sure you comment. Let us know where you're watching from, and Happy New Year.
yeah, Happy New Year. I'm happy to get back to routine too. Kids back in school and trying to figure out, how to get my life back in order.
Yeah, well, I heard you have a new family member, so hey, that's part of
Yeah.
the work too, right?
Yeah, we've got a puppy. He's 11 weeks old and he's a handful. So a lot of
Oh,
fun.
congratulations. There you go. That's a responsibility. Them puppies are cute, but you got to take care of them.
Oh, I know. Yeah, around 3 in the morning, sometimes it's like, oof, okay.
3 in the morning. Won't see me doing that. All right. From Jacksonville, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Thank you for chiming in tonight. Cool. What are we talking about, Ms. Rachel? I know I did some work for you guys because it's always the beginning of the year or the end of last year. Everybody's looking at their numbers and they're like, hey, how's the real estate market? So I'm going to go ahead and give some real back data on that. There we go. User UPQ8PPB. Hey, let's see the puppy. Easy now. We just got the puppy. We're not ready yet.
Oh,
Got
yeah.
to train the puppy, make it civilized. And are we allowed to say what kind of puppy it is?
Yeah, he's a golden doodle.
A golden doodle. Everybody's
Yeah,
got these doodles. One day
I got a little doodle.
we're
But
gonna
yeah,
be
I
a
mean,
bunch of AIs and doodles running around the world. That's all that's
I
gonna
mean,
be.
he's cute. I can show a picture from my phone. He's in the other room and currently asleep. But let's see if I have a good picture.
Price is still high. Yes, they are. Oh, there you go. What a
Yeah,
cute little blondie, huh?
little blondie. Yeah,
Congratulations. The
thanks.
kids must be ecstatic.
They love it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
love it. So
Yeah. All right. Living the
yeah,
American dream. Got the house with the white picket fence and the puppy now. The kids and the
yeah.
puppy. Congratulations. Good for
Eh,
you.
yes,
Yeah.
living the dream. All right,
Starting
so
out starting out the new year with chewed up stuff everywhere.
I know.
Get lots of toys. That's all I can say.
Yeah, he has more than I think my kids have at this point. So.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So cool. What are we going to be talking about right now? Let's get into it.
Well, we've got a couple different articles I thought were really interesting. This first one here, we have the U.S. housing market has 37 more sellers than buyers. So that's more than double last year's gap. I just thought this was super interesting. That's the national average of what we're talking about. And this is the housing market in November. So that's the largest gap that's ever been recorded since they've started keeping these kinds of numbers from 2013. Aside from this summer was also pretty high. So pretty kind of lopsided, I guess.
Yeah, but you see, listen, we need that, right? Because I mean, we've got comments here. Prices are still high.
Yeah.
Well, the only way prices are going to go down is that we need to have a more balanced market. And right now, sellers are expectations of those high prices they were seeing back in 22. They haven't come down to reality, or they're stuck in those prices of 22. And the prices are still high, and we just don't have enough buyers right now. So what's that mean? Well, that means prices are going to have to come down and reset to the right level in order to sell.
Right. And it sounds like the number of buyers are kind of backing off too. I think, like you said, it's just partly because prices are high, and it kind of makes that entry point for people to get into the market that much more difficult. So it does seem that it's going to have to figure it out. But it is interesting as you go through the article, you see every area has its different pocket of of its own market.
Yeah, and I'm going to get into that a little more detail tonight. The market is completely hyper local and different for every market, and we're an anomaly here in Florida. And I'm going to tell you guys if you stick around to the end when I get into my analysis here. But I love seeing these articles because for the general, these are the articles that you guys are all seeing on the day-to-day media. And it's very misleading, not very clear because it is very hyper local. And so we'll get into that a little bit. So I love your aspect of things, being a media person, joining me and sharing this information. It kind of tickles me because I'm like, okay, this is what people are looking at. All right, cool.
Yeah, it's what people are saying. So, you know, like you see San Francisco is a seller's market, super interesting. And then as I scrolled through, we have a metro level summary, 50 most populous metros. So Jacksonville's in that. And Jacksonville is a buyer's market, and it has, let's see, percent by which sellers outnumber the buyers. So we have 76.9% sellers versus buyers. So it seems pretty
not a lot of buyers compared to sellers right now. So it's
for the
totally flipped.
Metro, right? So I just thought that was super interesting. But you know, nationally, you've got kind of a roller coaster depending on what you're looking at. So
yeah, and that's Jacksonville Metro, completely different for all my St. Johns County people, St. Augustine people. That's going to be completely different over here. Okay, so that's doesn't mean the same for both. So
right, so you just never know. It's like and that's why your perspective, what you're seeing, is always valuable. Because you just reading these articles, it's hard to really see like, okay, well, hard to say.
A lot of mixed messages out there, a lot of confusion. We're going to clarify that tonight, though.
All right. Also, I thought this was super interesting. So land sales signal retail strength as Jacksonville commercial real estate teams collaborate on market trends. So this is interesting. It seems like retail growth is still growing in Jacksonville. And that, to me, just still signals that this is a really strong market. There's lots of people that are moving into the area. We have to have the retail to support that. And they wouldn't be building retail. Retail, I think, gets a lot quicker feedback from the market on whether or not it's necessary. And so when you start seeing a strong retail market, you kind of know, okay, there's a lot of people around. And people
I mean, if people are putting money into commercial real estate, it's because we're having massive growth and they see the potential specifically again in the area. So when you're talking retail, whatever areas is, and you see it massively growing, these companies are not putting millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars into development without doing massive studies on the growth, day-to-day growth, specifically here in Northeast Florida. Because even again, I'm talking about hyper-local. Even Jacksonville Duval compared to St. Johns County, or even comparing North Florida to South Florida. I mean, it's just completely different. And so that's why it's so important to have somebody that's in the trenches that's watching and showing day to day. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what happened last year and what we're predicting for this year.
Oh, awesome. But yeah, I mean, I also love in this article, they talk about downtown Jacksonville is expected to see new retail and restaurant activity. Tied to, the stadium renovation and also other historic preservation projects. And also they talked about malls, the malls in the area. There's a lot of redevelopment happening at the Orange Park Mall and Regency Square Mall. And then there's the Avenues Mall too, that is also getting, some life breathed back into those malls. So
which I totally don't get because I'm not a mall person. I don't go to the mall.
I am a mall person.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, and you're younger than I am. I don't get it. But anyway, it is what it is.
I mean, we've talked about this before. I do like my kind of old lady stuff. So
well, you also, the reality is to you're okay, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Let's just say when I'm literally doing work all weekend, my wife takes the girls to do things because I'm completely out. I'm outnumbered in the house. Even the dogs
right.
I'm gonna keep my language straight, but that's what they do when I'm not around. Dad's working all weekend. They'll either go shopping at the town center mall or they'll go to the movies. It's one or the two. And
Yeah.
they know not to take me to the movies because I'll fall asleep in the middle of the movie. I'm the dad snoring in the back while they're watching the movie and going, why did we bring him? Hey, Nancy, Happy New Year's. I'm glad you reached out. I'd rather do town center. Yep, I hear you. Another lady in the house. All right, I got it.
It's nice though when it's raining and you're in the mall and it's all covered.
Yeah, well, St. John's Town Center Mall, which is called St. John's Town Center Mall, but it's in downtown. It's in center of Jacksonville and Duval. Places jamming these days. Let's face it, it is a popular spot to be. I don't know about Orange Park Mall and Regency Square, but again, I don't do the mall thing.
I mean, they're gonna have to revitalize it to make them interesting. I'll just say that.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, okay, and looking ahead, St. Johns County, that they're battling housing affordability, and they're trying to figure out how to balance tourism. So those are the big things for 2026. Interesting article, and it talks about, we have talked about this before in a different show about impact fees or increasing impact fees on building residential construction, but they do have some waivers for like if you're doing like a like more attainable housing, so more affordable housing. So they do have some waivers in there. So there are ways, to look for some waivers. So they are thinking about affordability in this county because really, with median home prices over 500,000, that's just it's a big number.
Yep. And just to add to that, we're not talking about affordability. This is the massive problem in real estate right now everywhere. We're talking on a national scale. We're talking on a local level. We're talking on a state level. Think about all the things. I'm going to bring up some of those things tonight. What are we trying to do for affordability? And just hear Governor DeSantis trying to say, hey, look, we're locals. We shouldn't have to pay property taxes. Don't know how far that's going to go, but they're trying to come up with ideas to make housing more affordable again. And then, of course, Mr. Orange Man is definitely making a lot of noise about, institutions buying up real estate investment, residential housing, and eliminating that, which could really make it a little bit easier for us to buy a home rather than these massive conglomerates, just hedge funds, just buying up housing. That's a problem too. So on a national level, they're trying to come up with ideas. On a state level, they're trying to come up with ideas. And here you are showing us something and what they're trying to do on a county level.
Yeah, on the county level, which is, it's great that they're talking about it and considering it. Also, again, we talked about commercial growth in the Jacksonville area. There's a lot of commercial growth happening in St. Johns County as well. In fiscal year 2025, the total for commercial permitting valuation surged past $1 billion for the first time. Nice. So that just goes to show that there's just a lot coming. And I mean, it's like they say, if you build it, they will come. So
yeah, I love that too. I love it. As a realtor, that's music to my ears because I am excited. Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot more coming. And they, of course, they talk about how Publix is booming. And, I gotta give Publix a round of applause for this, because I do notice that they're usually the first ones in when there's a new community and things are still, getting shaped. Publix is the first one to kind of throw their hat in the ring and put their money where their, mouth is, I guess. And
hey, if you watch this channel, I say it over and over again. I'm waiting till Publix comes in, and man, when Publix comes in, everything else follows. And I laugh because I did a video for next week that's coming out on. It's going to be a controversial one, so if you haven't subscribed for it. But I joke and say, hey, I remember when we here in this Nocatee area when we got our first Publix in 2010. Well, here we are in 2026. We have 3 Publixes, people.
Right.
3.
Right. But, they're willing to take that risk and be one of the first stores in some of these communities. And, so far it's been paying off. I mean,
they're doing really well. And they're building the biggest Publix in the state of Florida over there in Silverleaf in St. Johns County and St. Augustine. So
it's going to be very cool. Very and also cool. They're just talking about Night of Lights in St. Johns County. This year, they did not extend it into late January. They're kind of talking about maybe doing that next year and not just, extra tourist dollars. I also think it would alleviate some of the traffic in the season, because then there would just be a longer amount of time for people to, enjoy it, but you know.
Yeah.
And then I guess tourism was flat last year, but you know, it just seems to me that we got room to grow.
For sure. I think tourism probably was flat across the country in general, and I'll get into that a little bit too. So yeah.
And here we go. We have a lower median price for November home listings in St. Johns County. So things have corrected a little bit. The median home in St. Johns County listed for $530,000 in November, slightly down from the previous month, $535,000. So things are shifting.
Decreased 1.7%. So yeah, that's that part, you know, where people are asking prices are still high. And I go, yeah, they are. And guess what? I got some bad news for you.
Ugh, I mean,
yeah, sorry.
Okay. Also, Palm Valley land becomes a real estate gold mine. This is from the St. John's Citizen. I mean, this particular plot of land they're talking about is a 10-acre plot along Palm Valley Road. And 14 years ago, it sold for $550,000, and it just sold for $12 million. And
oh, what a great investment! 500,000 12 years later, or what? 14 years later, 12 million. Oh,
yeah, and it's Toll Brothers bought it, so I guess keep an eye out for that.
Woo! And you Toll Brothers are buying up all the land. Holy camole!
Yeah. So yeah, and then you know there's going to be a fancy new. We've talked about this before on another show, but there's going to be a fancy new private club and fine dining restaurant along the Palm Valley Road too. So Palm Valley is booming.
Ponte Vedra Beach going to be a little more bougier than it already is. I can't believe it.
And I do remember when it was a sleepy little, you know, nothing road. So
yeah, I know. Now it's going to be honk, 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 honk.
Do we say like fancy? What do we say? Hoity-toity? I don't know.
Bougie. Yeah, I don't know. People, what do you want to call it? I don't know. We'll look at some of the newer terms. I'm an old man here, so we'll hear about it.
But also a quick update. We've talked about agri-hoods over in Clay County. So this is one we've talked about. Saratoga Springs. It's a freehold communities neighborhood. You know, they're going over the permits and development's currently underway. Home builders are tentatively expected to debut new model homes and begin initial sales in fall 2026. So looks like it's coming up. And the home builders are going to be Lennar and Ryan Homes.
Oh, sorry. Did I say that?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about that, but
those are two quality control builders there in an agri-hood. That should be interesting. All right, see what happens.
So it'll be interesting. But you know, speaking of Lennar and home builders,
oh, now you're gonna really put me down, aren't you?
Well, we're going to talk about the housing market cycle is so unique. Even Warren Buffett broke his own rules to make money. So,
all right.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw this to you. I think you know the most about this.
No, go ahead. I want you to start it off because this one is definitely one of my favorite conversations over the holidays. Let's just put it that
way. Okay. So he exited D.R. Horton. His D.R. Horton stake and held on to Lennar and NVR. So Lennar, you know, they held on to it. And then for D.R. Horton, it seems like he's been in and out with D.R. Horton. And so here we go. Here's the timeline. August, bought a bunch of shares of D.R. Horton and Lennar and NVR, and then he sold off almost 6 million shares in February of D.R. Horton shares, and then again purchased 1.5 million shares again of D.R. Horton in August the following year, and then sold it again. So D.R. Horton has had a roller coaster year, it sounds like, but Berkshire Hathaway is still holding on to Lennar and NVR. So there we go. Yeah.
And just to give people an idea, he's not just sitting on a few shares. He's sitting over $1 billion, which is nothing to him. The overall investment in in their portfolio is, you know, maybe 0.03%, but he's one of those investors that buys something that he sees value in and plans to hold on it. And usually people say Warren Buffett, if you're a Warren Buffett fan, he holds on to it for at least 10 years. But
Right.
he found that these builders in the last couple of years have been taking a hit because they've been sitting on so much inventory. Yet the Lennars of the world have the most incredible incentives for someone trying to get into a home, that they've gotten even crazier. Even I sold a Lennar last year, which I haven't sold a Lennar in years. Okay. And I'll tell you that, you know, we got a heck of a deal on a house. And so he's seeing they're willing to really put these incentives out there because they're got so much inventory to move. I think they had like 80 something construction managers just in a very particular area. I'm not going to say any areas because I don't want to get in trouble, but in our local area, they laid off like 30, 40 people. So they really slowed down. And now when a big investor comes in, they're like, hey, this stock is about 30% underrated. He bought $1 billion of it, or somewhat. The article didn't specify there exactly how much. D.R. Horton also is undervalued, and these are some of the largest home builders in the country. But I know D.R. Horton had some legal issues as well, and I suspect, even though a lot of articles don't talk about it, I suspect that's why he was in and out of D.R. Horton, because they were having some. Oh, you got that. There you go. Facing some federal lawsuits for allegedly concealing true home costs to home buyers, which is a big no-no. All right. You know, you can sell tract housing and people know, hey, I'm buying tract housing, I'm getting a deal. It's not a custom home. But then lying to them where the affordability comes into factor, and they can't, you know, once they get in the home and they realize it's going to cost a lot more to live in it. That's why it's so imperative that you trust your real estate professional that you're getting involved with, because these sales reps, they work for the builder and they need a sale, and times are tough. They're going to do what they can to get a sale. So I think, you know, I think that from an investor standpoint, when you start seeing lawsuits flying, that was probably maybe why he got out. And I'm sure there's more reasons for it, but he stuck in with Lennar. And, you know, when you look at the big dogs of what they're doing with their $1 billion of money, that's a good incentive to, wow, he got out of getting sued. He's just a little tiny investor, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff you'll see from some of these massive home builders. So you have to be very cautious. I did a video and I said, if the incentives are too good to be true or whatever, don't jump in and sign a contract. Slowly get a real estate professional to guide you through the process so you don't find yourself getting bitten like these poor people did.
Right. Yeah, it seems like the lawsuit claims that D.R. Horton worked with its preferred lender, DHI Mortgage, to deliberately exclude the full cost of required property taxes from payment calculations. And then that's a big chunk of money.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you're talking about places like St. Johns County. I mean, that people don't realize when your first year property taxes was assessed on the land value, and now they're going to get assessed in the next year on the actual paint cost, or what you paid for the home, completely different. So,
right.
Yeah, pretty sad to hear things like that. But again, they make it so easy to go in there. They own their own lending shops. The salesperson wants to sell you a house that works for the builder, and then their lender who works for the builder, their in-house lender, they want to sell you a loan. So, you know, they're going to tell you whatever you need to hear. So it's really important you protect yourself in these kind of things. But I digress. Point being is that during the low times, I always use Warren Buffett's quote or whatever: be greedy when everybody is fearful, be fearful when everyone is greedy. Well, everybody's fearful right now. So people like Warren Buffett's like, time to get greedy, because this has come down so much. I'm going to get a deal, and I'm going to ride it up in the next 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just interesting.
It is interesting. I mean, when you get into sophisticated investors like this, and you realize, man, these people are smart.
Yes, yes. And there's a reason I'm not a major investor.
Well, I'm not a major investor either, but I do get excited about all this kind of things because that's, that's part of my business is to understand it. So is this my time now to get
Yeah,
into
it's
the
your
numbers?
time now. It's all
All
yours.
right. All right, cool. This is for all the dorks and the people. Rachel, forgive me, Miss Rachel, if you fall asleep right now, but I'm going
Okay,
to
so
try to.
nerd alert. Got it.
It's nerd alert, nerd alert. So, but let's see. Let me first see if I can do it right. First of all, let me see if I can share my slides here. Share slides. Nerd alert. That is funny. You are funny. Share. Come on now. Yeah, this is going to be a nerd alert. There it is. Oh,
Oh, I love
how
PowerPoint.
how exciting is that, folks? All right, so what does this graph mean? Okay, all right, let's get into it. So median sales prices of homes sold in the last 50 years. Look, when we try to figure out what's going on with the real estate market, we got to go look historically, right? And of course, we're going way back here, but if you notice the trends in the last 50 years, even the median home sale prices is slowly escalated over time. So what we're finding now is that there's a massive surplus of rentals in the market. And so rents have gone down in multifamily and commercial properties, apartment buildings. They take loans out that are not 30-year mortgages; they're 7-year mortgages. So they didn't anticipate rates going up as high as they did back in 20. Well, look, last year of January, and I'll get into that in a minute. Our rates were up to 7%. So money is very expensive right now, and so they've had to have massive incentives for people to come into rentals. Affordability factor is a real thing on housing, and so you're seeing a lot of people renting and waiting because they think ultimately a recession. But if you notice here, as of recent, 2008 was when the mortgage-backed securities collapsed the banking system right here because anybody could buy a house or a second one with the baseball card stats without having true, pre-qualification. As we saw, the market kind of peaked in 2005 here. Went back. 2005. But we recovered, as you see here, slow recovery 2013, and then slowly you see we went up, 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 up. And then what happened? We hit COVID and it came down. But then what happened right after COVID? People were like, I got to get a heck out of New York. I got to get out of Chicago. I got to get out. No. But what happened was the market surged after that. Now that's the problem that we're facing with right now. Is it look at the massive growth we had between 20 and 21. We had increases of pricing instead of your standard 2.5%, 3% per year of increase you should see in the equity of your home. We saw in some areas, in our area alone, in 1 year, we saw a big jump of 35% increase in equity in our home. Okay. That was where the unaffordability hit hard. Some places like Austin, Texas saw as much as 65% equity growth in 1 year. Oof. Which is ridiculous. So here we are, we peaked to the top here, and everyone who bought around 21, and we've been zigzagging ever since. And the reason that we have all these little zigzags is because that's what's been happening with interest rates, and interest rates affect everything. Now, does this mean that everybody had a bad year in the last 2 years? No, it doesn't mean that at all, because if you still look here, these cities in 2024, they still had an increase in they still had an increase in property. That was your phone rebelling against this information. But if you saw here, people in Cleveland, Hartford, Buffalo, Milwaukee, Chicago, there were certain areas that people still saw an increase in their property values last year. All right. Now, the places that saw a drop, like Tampa, Florida, they saw as low as 6% loss. Okay. Same with Austin, Texas. Like I just told you, they had such a massive increase after COVID that they're now one places where you're seeing 5% loss. Now, you're not seeing 20% loss in equity, but you're seeing 5%. So it's really, really dependent on the market you're in. Jacksonville here, and this is of course Duval, we're seeing about a little bit over 3% decrease in pricing between September of 24 and September of 25. So, but if you look over here, all my folks in certain parts of New York, certain parts of Jersey, certain parts of New England, DC, they were able to still sell their house in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. So it's very hyper local, people. And now I'm talking even hyper local, meaning Jacksonville, St. Johns County, or Florida in general. It just really depends where you are. Here you go. September of 2025, this came out. In, again, Cleveland, Ohio had a 4.6 growth. Chicago, some areas 3.4. Detroit 3.3. New York 2.8. All right. It wasn't until you see Charlotte went down only 0.7%, Seattle 1.1, Portland 1.1. So again, everybody's saying, hey, the market's crashing. I wouldn't call this crashing, to be honest with you. I would call it a reset, to be completely honest. So what happened in 2025? All right, I'm going to give you before I get totally into this, let's talk about what I saw here in St. Johns County in 2025. I actually closed over 50 transactions alone last year by myself. That was a 20% increase in growth between 24 and 25. Now, 24 and 25 were supposed to be the worst real estate years for majority. That's where most realtors quit the business, was in 24 and 25. Okay, I'm in a relocation business. Okay, that's why you guys are watching this YouTube channel. So I was insulated from that, as well as being because new construction had massive incentives, and we happen to be in an area with tons of new construction. So the combination of relocation and new construction was a phenomenal opportunity for business, and I just happened to be in that business. So I saw 20% growth, and that's because we're a very popular area here in Florida for relocation. All you that are watching from different areas, maybe you can attest to that. But people are leaving other areas based on politics, taxes, and weather. End of story. It's a constant same story of why people move to Florida. It's politics, taxes, or maybe taxes, because that's where the wallet it hurts people the most, the wallet. Then you've got the politics, and then the weather. But what I found also was we had a lot of people also relocating to the Northeast Florida because of the job market. We have some of the best job markets in the United States, as we've talked about it in the past, Rachel. We have the lowest unemployment rates in the country. We're above average. So our pay rates aren't quite there yet. We need to get there with that. But a lot of people are moving here because of the job opportunities. And then, of course, people moving for retirement. Now, why are people not moving to South Florida for retirement? Well, because hurricanes have been blowing through South Florida, Southwest, Southeast Florida, and the Panhandle. And people are like, holy crap, I want to live near the beach, but I don't want to spend $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in insurance and flood insurance. And they saw what's been happening in Southwest Florida from Fort Myers up to Sarasota. And they're like, I want to be near the beach, but I don't want to be killed by home insurance. Okay. It's expensive enough to live in Florida. Affordability is a factor across the nation and in the states here. So that's another factor of what made Northeast Florida popular. Where did people move from? Well, I moved a lot of people, admittingly, from the most people that called me last year. Interestingly enough, they were from New Jersey. Okay.
Okay.
You would say New York? Nope, but it was New Jersey. Okay. You know who you are, people. Thank you very much. And for all of you that are native Jacksonvillians and Southerners, don't be mad at me. Don't be a hater. Okay. All right. But Jersey was number one. New York followed. New England, believe it or not. Boston and some of my people in the New England areas had no problem selling their houses.
Right.
Okay. Virginia, DC area, very popular, people getting out of those areas. And then we had people getting out of Arizona, Texas, Atlanta, okay, I have a new agent working with me in the United States. He said, man, you have a lot of people coming from the burbs of Atlanta. Yep, Atlanta is blowing up, and people are like, I'm not looking for that busyness anymore. Just trying to get through Atlanta makes me want to kill myself when I'm going to my mountain house in Blue Ridge. And then, just like I said earlier, why some of my retirees aren't moving to South Florida is because insurance is so high. I have a lot of South Florida moving up to Northeast Florida. That's always been the trend in Florida. When I lived in South Florida, you just kept moving north. Orlando, by far, in my opinion, had the biggest blowout year, the best year out of all Florida cities. It used to be Tampa, but it is now Orlando, Central Florida area has blown up. And I believe we are next to see a massive blow up here in Jacksonville. Now, that's just my assessment. And I think we're truly affected by is we have massive pent up demand. We're getting a lot of calls for people this year looking to relocate that didn't make a move last year because everybody is waiting for the recession. So let me go back to my little graph here. So what happened in 2025? So homes for sale have increased in 2025. We have had an inventory problem forever, okay? And now we're finally getting normalcy, okay? We're seeing houses on the market for 60, 70 days. All right, but if you look here, January 25, we started out just time last year, we had 829,000 houses on the market. Now we're seeing over 1 million houses on the market. This is on a national level, realtor.com, okay? I didn't make these up myself. So we're seeing increases in inventory. So here we go. This is what we're talking about, days on market. Look, in 2016, across the country, it was normal for your house to be in the market at 72 days. Then it went to 68, 64, 64. Okay. We have been so accustomed to our houses selling in 2 weeks, 20 days, 30 days, the COVID days, that craziness when interest rates were so low that we just don't understand that it's taken 40, 50, 60 days for your house to sell. That's normal, okay? And we have 6 months of inventory. That is also normal. That's called a balanced market. So everybody that's saying, hey, we're going into a recession or whatnot, I'm like, guys, remember what I said earlier, 24 and 25 were the worst years in real estate for realtors. It was the largest number of real estate professionals to leave the business because it was brutally difficult if you were not. And plus, it's easy to get a real estate license. They give them out like Cracker Jacks boxes. You can get it free now. I'm just kidding. But the point is, it's been tough. And so this is why it's been tough. People have been worrying about an upcoming recession. And people ask me about that. And I said, look, we're not in a recession. We're in a reset. But if people tell me, hey, Greg, I'm really wanting to know what's going to happen next year. I've been waiting on the sidelines. I'm waiting for prices to go down. I don't believe they're going to go down any much more than what we're seeing now. In fact, I think November, December, I had 7 closings in December, but November, December, and right now before spring, because so many people are putting their houses up on the market early this year because they're worried it's going to take a long time. This is right now is the best time to buy a house. It was better the day after Thanksgiving in December. I stand by that. Because when people are out in holidays and no one's buying houses, that's when you can negotiate the best. And right now, their credit card debt is up from all the money we spent at Christmas time and the vacations we went on and all that. And so people are not necessarily looking for houses right now. We're trying to get back into school. Everybody's got the flu. And so people literally, here's the stats. This is from LendingTree. Nearly 2 in 3 Americans think a recession is coming. 74% of Americans admit that world news and or current events affect their financial decisions. Of course it does. I mean, I don't watch the news. I don't have the time, but I do have social media. It's all over the place. The social divide, the politics. I mean, can it get any more miserable? Seriously, I'm like, is it really that bad? I don't know. I don't live in these cities or whatever, but I'll tell you one thing. If this is the stuff that's going on in Minneapolis, if this is the stuff that's going on in New York, and we're sitting over here going, well, we're trying to figure out how we can eliminate property taxes. And I'm sitting in January going, dude, I have not worn a sweater yet in December except for 3 days. It is warm as heck over here. Sunshine is happening. And I don't know if we're going to have property taxes, but I'm willing to give it a shot. You know, who doesn't want to play? So where are all these people going to move to? Still getting the phone ringing every day. It's lighting up. 9 calls missed. Okay, 9 calls. People are still flocking to Florida, and they're going to continue to do so. And are they going to go to the places that got hit really bad that you're hearing about in the media? Oh, media. What are they saying? Oh, Florida's sinking. Florida's dying. People are walking away from houses. Yeah, maybe in Southwest Florida, Fort Myers, where they got nailed by hurricanes and all this stuff that happens with storms and everything. Yeah, of course, everybody that lives on the water that can't get home insurance because all the Florida insurance company pulled out. But if you're in Northeast Florida, and you said it yourself, Miss Rachel, when you did the show last week, you showed the stats that Northeast Florida, this particular area in Jacksonville and in our area, we have the 3rd lowest rates of insurance in the state of Florida. And the first 2 were nowhere close to the beach. And we're 5 miles away from the beach, people.
Right.
So if I keep yelling,
Florida, like that wasn't, I didn't make that up.
No, you didn't make it up. You showed the stats. If you didn't watch it, people, watch that show. A lot of people complimented you on that show. That was a very good show. The last one right around Christmas time.
The Christmas one, yeah.
Yeah, the Christmas one. But point being is, when you have amazing insurance rates and you're near the beach and we're growing, and like I said, Orlando has had their heyday. Jacksonville is going to be the next city to have their heyday. Tampa had it. Orlando's having it. And now Jacksonville is going to have a blow up in the next 5-10 years for sure.
Yep.
And you know what, Nancy, you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't really believe property taxes will go away. I have not looked into it enough. Honestly, crazier things have happened. But if they do go away, do you think prices will go up? Hello, abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
So yes, I think so. And the places that are going to really get hurt in Florida by property taxes going away, those are going to be the massive touristy areas where there's second homes, because removing these property taxes proposed by DeSantis is on primary residence. People that it's your primary residence, this is where you live full time. Okay. Florida is a big, especially Orlando South, is a big secondary market, seasonal snowbirds. We're not a snowbird area. Okay. We have change of seasons. We're not the snowbird popular place, and we're not a touristy spot. Even you said it, tourism has been a little bit flat here in this area. Never a big touristy area anywhere anyway. So I don't, that doesn't really apply. So if they take away property taxes, we're one of the few areas, whatever, where we're not a big secondary market, we're a primary market. So it's not going to affect us in this part of Florida as opposed to the hurricane areas and the touristy areas. So more reasons. But you made a very good, valid point, Nancy. If they did go away, it would not be good for us. Okay, I'm talking too much. Let me get through my slides. Can you tell I'm fired about this, Ms. Rachel?
I love it. And actually it's funny because one of your stats that I saw, and it showed like the the price difference in gains that we've had. Yeah. I started looking at some of the houses in our area that are for sale, and you can see, some people who had bought in 2017, before things went kind of nuts, now they're selling their homes and they're getting almost double what they paid for it. So correct. Even if it does, and that's just their list price. So even if things do come down from their list price a little bit, they're still making total bank.
Totally. I mean, anybody who bought before COVID here, they're going to make out like bandits, right. Depending on where they're going. That's an absolute truth to that. I think the people that are really hurting is who bought at the peak. Right. 2021 was the peak, if you will. And that's why I always said, those folks, when they come in and say, hey, I bought in 21, I was at the peak. I said, don't sell right now. Really, right. If you don't have to, but life happens. I understand. People lose jobs, people get divorced and all that. But I'm saying don't sell now if you don't have to, if you bought in 21 or not. Just take it easy, stick around. Because another thing is, especially you're talking about Nocatee where we live, this area is going to blow up. to another level of what we saw happen in Ponte Vedra Beach. It's going to blow up when the construction is completely done here. And there'll be people that doubt me on that. That's okay. You watch, not worried about it at all in the slightest. But the people that are selling that bought in 21, I do say try to hang on to it if you can. Okay, so what affects what's going on here? I believe there's a massive, massive pent-up demand. Specifically in our area, I'm seeing it. I'm talking hyper-local real estate right now. And the reality is just massive, massive demand, and people are sitting on the sidelines. So like I said, January 16th of 2025, rates were above 7%, 7%. Okay, that's huge, people. Right now, as we're in January, we're seeing the low sixes, okay? It's a percent difference in the interest rates, okay? When I bought my first house, at 6.25. That was normal. Yeah. Okay. So we're seeing the mortgage rates, 30-year fixed rates are trending downward. Okay. So as they continue to trend downward, we're going to start seeing people jumping back into the market. Now, folks, the problem is when we start seeing, remember when Miss Rachel was saying we're seeing less buyers right now. Yeah. In the fall this year to the end of the year, we saw less buyers. That's why if you were a seller, you had to grab that buyer if you had that real serious buyer, unless they were completely lowballing you, you had to get serious and negotiate with them because there wasn't a lot of buyers in the market, but there's going to be a lot of buyers coming back into the market. Okay. By the way, I'm not going to lie. A lot of the buyers last year, a lot of my buyers are folks that had tons of equity in their current home, or they were cash buyers. A lot of older folks that just had money and they were looking for a deal, and they were savvy buyers and they got a deal. So that's what we were seeing last year. Unfortunately, first time home buyers were the ones that were affected the most.
Right.
Because if you didn't have equity, you were screwed and it was cheaper to rent. Okay, this is what they were saying back in September of 2025. Fannie Mae, MBA, Wells Fargo, all the average three of them were saying, look, we're going to see rates around 6.55 in Q4 of 2025. They were pretty close. We actually saw a little bit lower than 6.55. And then they were saying, hey, we're going to see 6.47 on average in Q1 of 2026. Again, they weren't far off, but actually we're seeing better than that. Okay. Now with the updated in October, and again, these are all sources, Fannie Mae, MBA, Wells Fargo, 10-1, here we're going to see what they were forecasting in rates. Again, Q2 of 24, 7%. Then we saw Q3. This market was a total zigzag. And why? Because it was all based on rates. Okay. And there was 6.6, 6.8, it went up. Now we're seeing here sorry, it says there's a sharing button here, but it's hiding some of the numbers. But they're saying in Q1 they're forecasting as low as 5.9%, 6.25, and 6.4. So we're expecting to see rates in the sixes. Okay, and what that means for us in Northeast Florida is that right now all the builders are buying down the rates. Right. So I am seeing people that are actually getting 30-year fixed mortgages at 5.5, 5.75, 30-year, not 30-year. And so for the first time ever, we're seeing people buying houses at sixes or low, especially VAs, all that. So the affordability from 7% has come down into the mid fives for certain people, depending on the loan they were doing. Okay. Now, this was the, did I do this one already? Yeah, it looks familiar.
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. Lower rates include stronger buyer demand. This is by Freddie Mac. Okay. Again, when we saw the rates at 7%, that's when the buyer demand went completely down. The market went weak. Everybody said, I'm out. All right. Then we saw people going back and forth in the mid 6s to 7. People were like, hey, we don't need to move. We're not moving. This is still too high. Prices have not come down fast enough anyway. So we had a limited market. Now we're down below 6.5. We're getting into the low 6s. We're going to see a good market here. Okay. And this is going into September 25. But let me tell you something. If we go below 6s in this green area, you see where it says strong? All you people that are waiting on the line to buy for when the recession comes, folks, in my opinion, if you want to call it a recession, last year was a recession. 2024 was a recession. I mean, how many people lost their jobs in 24 and 25? I mean,
Right.
my wife barely escaped getting laid up. The layoffs were massive. Okay. So that was it. Okay. If you think you're going to see worse, I don't see it, but I'm always a half glass kind of full. But I will tell you, if these rates go down below 6, and there was an article that came out today, and I talked to my lender about it, Brian, and I need to bring him back on here. He's been on the show a couple times from Maris Bank. He said, you know what? The rates for them to go down, the government needs to buy the bonds, mortgage-backed securities, and the government is not going to spend that kind of money. Well, guess what? Saw an article today at Trump saying, hey, we need to eliminate hedge fund buyers from buying single family homes, and we need the government to buy 200, what was it? 200 million. I don't know what the numbers are. I read it really quickly before this. Maybe you can look that up, Miss Rachel. But he's saying, look, government, we need to buy these bonds so we can get rates down and get the real estate market banging again. And if they do that, you're right, Miss Nancy, you're absolutely right. Prices will go up. So I can't stress more than another. Now is the time to buy. Now, if you can't afford it, please do not buy right now. Okay. Stay in a rental. I agree. If you're not, I full-heartedly believe you're not in position to buy. But if you're waiting for better prices, trying to time the market, you are going to do yourself a bad doo-doo. All right. Another thing I say is people buying right now also, get a deal. By the way, I sold 3 homes to investors last year. 3 homes. I don't really sell investors. I'm getting more and more people calling me up about investment buying right now too. So when investment buyers are coming out, that's also an indicator. Okay. But if the market goes below 6s, all the pent up demand, people are going to come out of nowhere and really start creating a market where it's not going to be a buyer's market or a strong buyer's market as much anymore. All right, let me keep going. If anybody has questions, go ahead and put in the comments. Even if you watch this on recording, please put in the comments. I love this stuff. I geek out on it. So certainly,
I found the number. It was 200 billion.
Yes. So Donald Trump's trying to get Congress to pass $200 billion for the government to buy bonds so that we can lower the interest rates. Feds can't lower the interest rates unless we buy the bonds. The government buys the bonds. Okay. So he's pushing for that heavily. Okay. Whether you like him or not, just think about how it's going to affect your ability to buy a home. Here we go. Monthly mortgage payments are trending down. Okay. Rates are going to go down. Builders are giving massive incentives to help people get lower costs. And so we're seeing lower. Rents are still really low right now too in the commercial space, but long-term, you're better off buying as long as you're buying to stay in the home. Do not buy if you're saying, hey, I'm not sure where I'm going to be in 2 years. Buy as long as you know you're going to be in the home for 3 to 5 years. Greg, people say, hey, Greg, when's it going to go like banging into a total seller's market again? I don't know, 2030. People go, 2030? They act like 2030 is a long time from now. That's 4 years. That's going to blow by like that. Right. So I always say to people, it's more expensive to move. Don't move so much. Make sure your next buy, you're going to be there for a little while. And if you are going to move, that you have plans you have the ability to rent it out and be an investor, because there's nothing better than equity in a home long-term. History has proven it. I don't know if I put the slide on here, but long-term, you're better off owning than paying rent and pissing it away. Long-term equity, because of inflation, your dollar is not going to be worth as much sitting in a bank account. But an asset, a property in a massive developing area like Jacksonville in Northeast Florida is only going to make your investment better. I mean, how many times have you said to yourself, Ms. Rachel, in the last few years, or even people that moved back here before you did, because you didn't move back till a while, but they were like,
yeah, we got back in 2023. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I can say, oh man, I wish back in 2017, 18, 19, I bought 3 properties, 4 properties. I'd be retired. I wouldn't be taking all your phone calls and text messages and answering all this. Yeah, here we go. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Phone just blowing up all the time. I would be, well, I love this too much. I lie. I wouldn't be sitting on a beach. That would drive me nuts. All right. Home price forecast. This is what everybody's been waiting for. 855, or I'm almost there. I'm almost there. All right. So these are National Association of Real Estate, Wells Fargo, Capital Economics, Fannie Mae, Reuters Housing, Bank of America, Moody's Analytics. All right, so this is what people are forecasting for the changes of housing on a national level here in the U.S. People, if you're loving this, thank you for the hearts and the thumbs up. We just started sharing on other social media, so thank you for that. Amen. Thank you for that. If you love it, put it in the comments. Yeah, home price forecasts. We're going to see. Of all these institutions, they have an average here. We're seeing, we expect about 1.7% growth. That's what we're expecting here in 2026. So there's only one organization, MBA bank here, that's saying we're going to be going down another negative 0.3%. Not 3%, negative 0.3%. Okay. But otherwise, all these other institutions are saying, hey, we're going to see 3.5% growth in pricing this year, 2.1, 2%, 1.3, 1.3, 0.5, 0.5. And I'll tell you right now, I have people calling me up. We have a massive problem. We have a shortage of larger homes and larger lots in Nocatee because they didn't do a lot of larger lots. There's only so many pie-shaped lots you can do, and they're very expensive. But when people ask for a very specific product, I really don't have that much inventory. That's why it's so important when you buy a home, the location and the product you're buying. It's really important that you buy something that it's all about the location. And so even with that, you're going to see growth this year at 1.7% average. Okay. So everybody's looking for the recession, 1.7% average. So keep waiting on there, and your house is going to cost you 1.7 more. Not a lot of difference. Not that big of a deal. All right. Home sales are expected to rise. Okay. So we sold over just under 5 million homes in 24. It went up in 25. Again, I repeat, the worst real estate year that we've had in years. Okay, since maybe back in 2005, 6, 7, the last massive crash when the banking system collapsed, and then maybe for a tiny moment during COVID. 24 and 25, we still saw the home sales across the country grow from 4 million to 4.8 million, 4.7, not a whole lot. And then that's about actually kind of funny because I mentioned to you earlier, I saw 20% growth in my sales. I don't know what the difference is between 4,752,000 to 4,816,000. Not a mathematician, but you're seeing a slow growth between 24 and 25. This year, we're anticipating over 5 million homes sell across America. That's a pretty healthy number. So again, for my naysayers out there, we are going to see a lot of homes selling, and I'm seeing a lot of homes come on the market. And I'm really looking forward to it because I have a lot of buyers that are looking for specific product, and we just don't have enough inventory when it comes to a specific product in a certain area. Okay. All right. As I said earlier, you know what? It's a really good time to be a renter as well. You can get some really good rates in rent, but you're really pissing money away in the long term, because if I can show you right here, again, this is a graph by Fannie Mae. I want to thank Keeping Current Emitters for providing all this information to me for sure. Awesome business. I didn't make these graphs myself, but for those of you that are renting and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to wait. If you bought a home for $400,000 in 2025, and that wasn't in St. Johns County because Miss Rachel just said the median price home was about $530,000, okay, which came down. Believe it used to be $550,000, $560,000. So we're going in the right direction. But here we go. If you bought a home in 2025 for $400,000, in 2030, that home is going to be worth $461,000. People. You gain $61,000 in equity. Also, you got a tax benefit on the interest you paid on your mortgage each year, rather than just pissing money away to a landlord. Do you know why investors are so wealthy? Collecting rent from you, and you're paying their mortgage off. That's the end of the story. So wherever you are in your heart of what's going on in the market, can I just say lovingly, every situation is different. Okay. Yes, I am a realtor. Yes, I want to sell houses. I'm going to get rid of this slide here. Hello?
I'm here.
Okay, I'm still here. Oh man, I pressed a button. I thought I lost you guys. Yes, I want to sell houses, but no, I don't want to sell you a house if you can't afford it. And no, I want to make sure that you feel 100% comfortable that you're making the right decision for you and your family, and everybody's situation is different. And we're in a very special place here in Northeast Florida. I'm so glad I left South Florida 7, 8 years ago, because I love being here. And I love this show with you, Miss Rachel, on Thursday nights, because it really shows me what's going on in the area, the growth we're having and everything. But every person's situation is different. And the challenge is always is affordability, finding the right home, and then the logistics of moving from where you are to here. It's a big deal.
Right.
You know, sorry, I blew your phone up yesterday. Yes, that's okay, Nancy. That's my job. You're supposed to blow up my phone. But the challenge is moving people from one area to here, trying to make it a smooth transition, ultimately getting them from their home up wherever they're from. The people that were in Jersey that made money in their home were able to sell it with the terms that they can move directly from their home into their new build here. They had it made because they took that equity and they went right here. The people that were in Arizona, Texas, that were trying to get out of a market where it was brutally hard to sell their home and try to get it sold in time to get into their build here, they really had a hard time, and they didn't maybe get the equity that they were counting on. So everybody's situation is different. Bottom line is that you need to have a real estate professional to help guide you through that understands the market, that is not starving, and that will tell you anything to sell you a home. Okay.
Right.
That will take your best interest first and foremost, and really evaluate with a good lender. I work with good lenders to really look at your situation and go, does this make sense for you? And will you find what you're looking for? And does this make sense? And if you don't, that's okay. Or if this area is not for you, that's okay. But you never can't start learning and figuring out in advance. So that's why I always say in my videos, even if you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, 180 days, it's always good to have that conversation. Come down, get in my little spaceship with the big map on the screen, the digital map, and see it for yourself and genuinely get a feel for the area. Make sure this is the house you want. Make sure the affordability makes sense for you and your family, whatever you're seeking, or if you're here for medical reasons or you're here for a job relocation, really make sure that you're right, because you can get lost in this area. It's so massively large and spread out that you can narrow it down in 2-3 days, literally, just from having this conversation with someone like me that's so passionate about this, to really help you figure out if this is the right place for you. Is this the right time? And is affordability a factor or not for you? And we can iron that all. So text me, call me, email me. I'm so excited to meet all of you. I'm so grateful for everybody last year that become really good friends. All 52 of you, I think it was. Such an amazing year. Made so many good friends. Yeah, we went through some stuff. We did. But I'm a problem solver. That's my job. That's why I get paid. We went through some stuff, no doubt. I got a handful of people that it was brutal, but we got through it. And they said, hey, I don't know how I wouldn't have done without a real estate professional, and you too. So awesome. And Miss Rachel, are you excited about 2026, what we got coming ahead?
I'm excited. I mean, the Jags currently are on a hot streak. We're headed to the playoffs.
Oh, man. I know. It's incredible. I don't want to jinx this, so I'm not going to say anything.
I don't either. I'm not going to say anything else.
Yeah. Of course, we're going to become an amazing football team while they go and play in Orlando next year. But anyway, it's all good.
Well, no, not next year. Next year, they're still here.
Okay. When is it?
It'll just be smaller.
Okay.
It'll be the next year, 27.
Okay, 27 when they go to Orlando to play.
No. Yeah, no.
We're in 26. So yeah, you're right, 27.
No, I was right. Yeah, I said it right.
Yeah, you did say it right. Yeah, I'm questioning. We don't even know what year it is right now.
I
Anyway,
know.
thank you people for watching. You guys have been an absolute pleasure. Great info, Greg. Well done. Thank you, sir. Thank you dearly. I love this stuff. As you saw, I geek out. So, all right, my information will be in the description or on the comments. Text any comments you want to make or questions about anything you had on here. Any last thoughts, Miss Rachel?
I have no last thoughts, but I'll just say it's January and I'm wearing a tank top. So, yay.
Damn, girl, you're really rubbing it in. I trained you well. All right. All right, now go get back to your little puppy, okay?
I will.
Thank you, Greg. Take care. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.